Ever thought about how those massive metal parts are actually made? Like giant gears in those wind turbines, or even something like the chassis of a heavy-duty truck.
I've definitely wondered about that.
It all starts with, shaping raw metal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's where the pretty interesting world of a mechanical forging press worker comes in.
Oh.
And that's what we're diving into today.
Feels cool.
We're going to explore what it takes to do this kind of work, the skills, what it's like day to day, all of that. And of course, we've got RoleCatcher with us again.
Always a great resource.
Absolutely. They've got these detailed guides on this career path. Honestly, I was surprised how much goes into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's just start with the basics. What does a mechanical forging press worker actually do?
Well, imagine like these enormous presses, like really big, and they exert so much force, enough to mold this metal almost like it's clay.
Right.
And these workers, they're the ones operating these powerful machines, setting them up, adjusting the dies that actually give the metal its shape, making sure each piece is, absolutely perfect.
So we're not talking about like just bending a horseshoe here.
No. This is high-level stuff.
I bet. RoleCatcher mentions cranks, cams, and toggles.
Yes.
What are those exactly?
Good question. Think of them as the muscles of the press, the mechanical muscles, that is.
Okay.
Cranks, they take that turning motion and make it a straight push. So the worker turns a crank, and it drives a part that moves in a line to apply all that force.
Makes sense.
Then you've got cams, which control when and how much that push happens. And toggles, they're like powerful levers. They multiply the force even more.
Wow.
It all has to work together like a well-choreographed dance to get that precise pressure and impact to shape the metal just right.
That's incredible. I never knew how much precision goes into this. And are they working with all kinds of metals?
Oh, absolutely. You've got your steel, your iron, those are your ferrous metals. But then you've also got aluminum, copper, even titanium, those are non-ferrous.
Okay, so this first processing of steel that RoleCatcher mentions,
Right.
that's where they take those raw materials and turn them into, what, like pipes and tubes and...
You got it. And those hollow profiles you were asking about.
Yes. Hollow profiles. What exactly are those? Where would we see those being used?
Think of like a metal beam, but it's not solid all the way through. It's got a hollow cross-section, could be square or rectangular.
Okay.
Those are hollow profiles, super strong, but also lightweight. Perfect for construction, cars, even airplanes.
It's like they're building the skeleton for so many things we use every single day. That's pretty amazing. But let's be real for a second. Working with these giant machines in a factory, that can't be for everyone.
You're telling me.
RoleCatcher even mentions it can get pretty noisy. Potentially dangerous too, right?
Oh yeah, you need all the safety gear.
I bet.
You're dealing with extreme heat, heavy stuff, equipment that you really got to respect.
For sure.
You need to be physically fit for this kind of work and very aware of what's going on around you. And of course, you've got to follow those safety rules, no exceptions.
Yeah, I can see how staying calm and focused would be so important in that type of environment.
Absolutely. It's not just about muscle. It's about keeping your cool under pressure. You can't afford to make mistakes when you're dealing with that kind of power.
Right. You're constantly thinking on your feet, making sure things run smoothly, trying to anticipate any problems. Sounds intense.
It definitely can be, but it's also incredibly rewarding. That's actually one of the things that drew me to this field when I was doing the research for our deep dive today. There's real pride in knowing you're creating something that matters,
I get it. Building the world piece by piece.
So we've touched on the work itself, but what's it actually like to have this job? Let's talk about some of the pros and cons RoleCatcher highlights, because let's be honest, every job has them. That's the truth. No job is perfect. Yeah, for sure. No job is perfect, right? But let's start with the good stuff. What does RoleCatcher say are some of the perks of this line of work?
Well, one of the biggest ones they highlight is the high demand. Seems like there's no shortage of jobs for skilled mechanical forging press workers.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, when you think about it, just about every industry out there relies on these forged metal parts to some extent.
Exactly. RoleCatcher really emphasizes that. Construction, automotive, aerospace, energy, they all need those durable, precisely made components.
And the thing is, this isn't really a job you can just hand over to a robot. You need skilled humans to run these complex machines, make sure the quality is there.
Right, robots can't do everything.
Not yet, at least. But that's good news for anyone looking to get into this field. means there's good job security and the pay is competitive. RoleCatcher points those out as major advantages.
Which makes sense given the demand we were just talking about. But I guess high demand also means lots of competition. So how does someone stand out in this field? What are we talking about for, like, career progression here?
Another great question. And that actually ties into another pro that RoleCatcher highlights, opportunities for advancement. This isn't one of those dead-end jobs.
Okay, good to know.
With experience, maybe some extra training, you can climb that ladder, get more responsibility, better pay, the whole 9 yards.
They actually lay out, like, a whole typical career path, right?
Yeah.
And I was pretty impressed with the level of detail they go into. You start as entry level, then move up to junior, then senior mechanical forging press worker, and then...
From there, you could even end up in a supervisory or management position.
Wow, so you could really work your way up in this field.
You got it. It's kind of like choose your own adventure for your career path. You might get really good at a specific type of forging press, become the go-to expert.
Like those hydraulic presses. The ones that use fluid pressure for even more force.
Exactly. Or maybe you focus on a particular metal, become a master of shaping titanium for those super high-tech aerospace applications.
So even though there's probably a good amount of routine in the day-to-day, there's room to get creative, find your niche.
100%. And that's where things get really interesting. Imagine you've got years of experience under your belt. You could be collaborating with engineers, giving them feedback on the design of the dies, even suggesting ways to improve the whole forging process itself.
That's amazing. You're not just an operator at that point. You're like an artisan.
Exactly. You're using your deep knowledge of the materials, the machines, the whole process to create these really important parts. But, we got to be real. This kind of work, it's not a walk in the park. RoleCatcher doesn't sugarcoat the challenges, and neither should we.
True. We have to address the elephant in the room. Or should I say, the forging press in the room. But really, they are upfront about how physically demanding this job can be. You're on your feet all day, moving heavy stuff around, dealing with heat, the noise.
And look, some people thrive in that environment, but it's definitely not for everybody.
Not for me. That's for sure. I'm more of a sit at my desk with a cup of coffee kind of person.
Me too, probably.
Mm.
RoleCatcher also mentions the potential for repetitive tasks, especially when you're first starting out.
Right. And let's be honest, overtime is probably just part of the deal sometimes, especially when there are deadlines or production needs to be ramped up.
Yeah, gotta meet those deadlines. So it really is all about weighing those pros and cons. Do they match your personality, your physical capabilities, your long-term goals?
That's such an important point. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a career path without really thinking about what it would be like day in and day out. Got to look at the whole picture, the good and the not-so-glamorous parts.
Couldn't agree more. And that's where a resource like RoleCatcher can be so helpful, They don't just tell you what the job is, they give you all the info you need to figure out if it's the right fit for you.
And speaking of RoleCatcher, we've talked about their career guides and how they break down those typical career paths. But have you used their RoleCatcher.capture plugin? That thing is a game changer. You just click a button and boom, you instantly save jobs from all these different websites straight to your RoleCatcher profile.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that. It's a lifesaver for anyone who's ever felt lost in the black hole of online job boards, right?
Tell me about it. No more endless scrolling. No more trying to remember which sites you've already looked at. RoleCatcher just brings all those opportunities together, makes the whole job search way less overwhelming.
I can imagine. And once you've found some jobs that look interesting, they have that really cool AI-powered CV and resume analysis tool, right?
Right. It's like having your own personal career coach who looks at a job description and says, okay, you need to highlight these skills, or maybe you should beef up this section of your resume.
It basically takes all the guesswork out of applying for jobs. I bet it's super helpful for getting your application seen by recruiters, especially in a competitive job market like this one.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about their interview prep resources. I have to admit, when I first saw that they had over 120,000 practice interview questions, I was like, whoa, that's a lot. Who has time for all that?
I would be so overwhelmed.
Right. But then I realized it's not about memorizing all the answers. It's more about understanding the types of questions you might be asked and just practicing how you would respond.
That makes a lot more sense, like getting comfortable talking about your experience and skills, even if you don't know the perfect answer to every question.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher takes it a step further with their AI-powered interview practice. You can actually record yourself answering questions, and then it analyzes your videos, gives you feedback on things like your body language, how you're speaking.
Oh, wow. So you're not just practicing blindly, you're getting actual feedback that can help you improve.
Yep. It's like having a mock interview with a personal coach who can pinpoint those areas where you could do even better.
That's amazing. I love that they offer that kind of support. Okay, so we've covered quite a bit here.
We talked about what mechanical forging press workers actually do, the day-to-day realities, the pros, the cons, all that good stuff. But I think it really comes down to you, the listener.
Right. At the end of the day, it's your career.
Exactly. So maybe you're thinking, is this the right path for me? And that's a question only you can answer.
We've given you the information, the tools, the insights, but it really boils down to what you want out of a career.
We can't tell you what to do,
Yeah.
but we can ask some questions that might help you figure things out.
Exactly. Like, do you enjoy working with your hands? Creating something tangible, something you can actually see and touch.
And does the idea of taking raw metal, and shaping it into these essential components, things that build our world, does that give you a sense of pride, a sense of accomplishment?
Those are important things to consider. And it's not just about the end product, right? It's about the work itself.
Totally. So ask yourself, do you think you'd thrive in that kind of fast-paced, physically demanding environment?
Do you like the idea of mastering these complex machines, using your skills to make sure everything runs smoothly, getting that satisfaction of a job well done?
Because if you're out there nodding your head right now thinking, yeah, that sounds like me, then this could be a really great fit for you. But even if you're still not sure, don't just close this tab and walk away.
Yeah, keep exploring.
Exactly. We always say, knowledge is power.
Right. So, use the resources we talked about today. Check out RoleCatcher's website, dive into their detailed guides, and don't be afraid to reach out to people who are actually doing this work.
Definitely. Talk to them. Ask them what they love about it, what they find challenging. Get the inside scoop.
Because choosing a career, it's not just about finding a job, it's about finding a path that you're passionate about, something that aligns with your interests, your skills, your goals, all of that.
And you never know. Maybe this deep dive has sparked something in you, planted a seed, so to speak. Maybe it's made you curious about the world of manufacturing, the idea of being part of something bigger than yourself. That's what it's all about. And hey, if shaping metal with massive machines, if that's what gets you excited, then go for it.
Absolutely. The possibilities are endless.